our slab laid, as you can see, we've got a string line running from A to B. We've made sure that that string line is parallel with the house. The fence behind me is running out of square. The fence, the gateway on that side is actually coming in this side. So we're using porcelain. It's a very sleek. It's an unforgiving product. It'll show everything. So when it comes to those squares, so we've had to sort of try and get the balance between the gate and this bit over here. And I think we've achieved it. But what we've got to try and do each time, measure with your tape to make sure that you're running nice and square. But remember also, the string line's better because you're running parallel all the way down. Because that brickwork may not necessarily be actually in a straight line. There we are. So, always make sure that we sponge it off as we go here. Got a little lip at there, so I'm going to tap that down in a moment. But as you can see, I've been using the slurry mix, and you've got to make sure that you sponge as you go, because what's going to happen with the slurry, it's going to leave a mark on there. You'll have a job to get it off, but I don't think you will get it off. But we've got a string line, A to B, running parallel, okay? We're laying these 2x2, the porcelain. We're slurrying the back. The mix that we're actually using, we're using 4 to 1, and it's all con sand in there. So there's little bits of aggregate in with the sand, and that's what we've got local. We don't normally get sharp sand now. They don't dredge the channel no more where we are, so they mix it up themselves. It's from Juicing, but it's all con sand. It's all con sand, okay? And that's going to give us integrity. But we're slurrying the back, ensuring that the slurry will basically engage with the laying course, meaning adhere, okay? It will adhere to the laying course. The sub base here, okay, we've got a sub base, we've got a 5-inch compacted sub base, but on the top of the sub base, we've put what I call it a PQC, a paving quality concrete, because we're laying paving on concrete. But usually with a rigid paving system, we make sure that we don't have too much cement in it, because if it's too strong, cement's always heating up and it has the ability to crack unless you put reinforcing bar in your concrete. But there you go. Just wanted to say, there was a request the other day to show a little bit more in detail about how I lay the paving. We're going to do this a little bit more in the future. I think it's important, but I think for sure paving is without doubt changing, and it is changing. Tap on in there, and this one back over here. That's good. That's good. That's good. It's not so bad. That's good. So paving is changing. Now we're laying the paving. The paving's becoming a lot thinner now. Okay, even with the sandstone, this calibrated sandstone. Years ago, we were laying those 2-inch flagstones. They were heavy. But there you are. We're cracking on with it. See you soon. Right, good morning. Got to say a big thanks to everybody the other day that commented on the video on how to lay porcelain, and kind of appreciates the comment about the camera. The footage was good. So here we are. So this is where we are now. We've got some of the paving down. So the idea is, you can see we've got a black banding course around the outside there. There's the black banding course. We're going to run down there and run down both sides. Now the idea is that we're going to have a circle in the middle of this area here and here, and the circle is going to be done with the same paving, okay? But what we're going to do with the circle, we're going to lay that at a 45-degree angle, and then what we're going to be having to define the circle, we're going to have a 75mm by 75mm dark, this color brick. So we've got to cut those up as well. So that brick edge is going to go, or tile, whatever you want to call it with porcelain, is going to define the circle. So grey, black, grey, and the inner piece is going to be at a 45. So this is the centre of the circle. This is going to be where we're going to stroke our radius from, okay? But what we're going to do now, if we come over here, Carl, for the viewers to see, we've marked the centre of the slab here, okay? There's the centre. We've we've got a pencil mark on there because our first slab is going to be the one whole slab right where that pin is, okay? But we need to measure now from this point to here and from that point to there. So we know exactly, and from here, we know exactly where that position is, and it will relate to that cross on that slab. So let's get on with that bit. We got it. Look, like I said, somebody wanted a little bit more detail when we're laying. So what we've got here now, you can see where we've got the back of the slab slurried now. This is going to be, there's going to be a circle around here. So we're overlaying, and then what we'll do, we'll overlay, and then we'll cut out, we'll create the circle after as we go. You know, you could say that you could put the brick edge round first, but that's not necessarily for me on this project here. So if you look now, what we're using here, we're using is it 4.5, 5 to 1, isn't it? 5 to 1 basically, and that's all con sand, okay, which is what you use for concreting with chip-ins. So this is all sharp sand completely, it's con sand, and there's no soft sand in there at all. We've got a little bit of feb, haven't we? Yeah. A plasticized, and we use feb, the concentrated one, and it's the little thing that bottle that you squirt, if Andrew gets that in a moment. So what we're doing here, I'm gonna just show you this now. Carl wants to come a little bit closer. So this is what we're actually using as the Bostik one. There you are. I couldn't remember the name of it. And basically you just take the top off, and then take the top off, squeeze it up to where you want. You have to make sure you read the instructions, don't take my word for it, but that's what we're using as a feb. And we're not putting a huge amount of water in there, are we? So there's our mortar down, and what I normally do is I take the slab and I lay it nice and tight, okay, especially with this porcelain. Lay it tight, just give it a bit of a push down, and then I pick it back up and I have a look to see where I haven't got enough muck in places, and by the time this gets squashed down, this is going to be all right, to be honest, because that wasn't fully down there. So just put that on there like so. Now get the slab back on, okay. What I normally do sometimes is once I've put the muck down on the ground, what will happen is the moisture will start going down straight away into the ground, and then that will allow you to be able to tap it down. But when it's a little bit wet at first, when you first put it down, what happens is it sort of wobbles around a little bit. But we've got that down now, and like I said, I lay the paving tight first, like so. This is what I do, okay. Then I'll get my level for here now. We'll run that across there. See what we got for height, and as you can see, it's way too high on there, so you can see that those voids that I would have had underneath that slab are going to be taken up now completely. There we are. Give it a tap, you can see the muck coming out. There's nothing on the side of here now. Now we're starting to hit, so what you need to do is to get down in place. There you are. That's perfect. Sort of. You've got to remember, if you're tapping down that side, it's going to come up on that side, so it's like a seesaw effect. Now, what I can actually do, now I can start putting my spacers in. These spacers, what we're actually using here, are a 7mm spacer, and the reason that I'm using a 7mm spacer, because I feel that when you're laying tiling and porcelain inside, they're using 5mm and 3mm, and some are using 5mm outside, but I really feel that the grout doesn't get right down into the joint, and that's not good at all. You want the grout to get right the way down, and when you have a tight joint, and you'd agree with me on that, wouldn't you? Yeah. That the grout doesn't get down. So by having a 7mm, we make sure that the grout gets all the way in. So even though I've laid these, I can still go back to these now and drop that across there. Have a look underneath. Okay, we've run string lines with the outer edges, so we know what we're working to. We don't need to necessarily put a string line on this, but you can see, yeah, I tap the level then, but it's just a little bit. It can make that much of an effect on it. And then roll that side. There's a little bit of a lip there, and I'm just gonna get down underneath here, have a look there, and it just wants. There we are there. And I'll probably revisit that later. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to make sure that all that paving is wiped down and clean. Well, there we are. We've got the marked the centre of that slab there. Now, this is the radius. This is where our first cut is going to be. And what I would suggest, just do one at a time, but making sure that you maintain the same position with your tape the next time. Sorry about the noise of the wind, but you can see we've cut that one over there, that side there. That slab just there, that one there, I'm not cutting that because we've only just laid that. But these have all been laid for a few days, so we've got that circle going round on here now. So we're ready to cut those. Well, if you come a bit closer, Kyle, they've got to know who you are now as my cameraman. If you can hear the noise in the background, that's as Andy's cutting these 75 by 75 millimeter little bricks sets out. So what I'm actually doing here is, you can see where the brick sets run round. So what we're doing is, we've got a mortar, decent mortar, and we're slurrying the back like this. Got a very thin bed there. And then we're just putting those on like so, if you can just see that now. And then what I'm doing is running the level through there with a fork, and then just pushing them down into place. The same as that one there. But what we are doing is ensuring that we've got this 7mm gap all the way around. Some people would say, well, why don't you just put a concrete bed down? But the budget on this job doesn't allow a concrete base here, and you can do it almost like tiling there. So if we look at that one now, that one's just gone over a little bit there. But the problem we're having now is it's starting to rain. So we're going to have to probably just get over here and probably knock it on the head, clean it up. It's not worth compromising it. know when you're ready, Kyle. Are we going now? There we are, we're back on the job now this morning. And my biggest concern yesterday was that it was going to rain. And we've got, if you come closer, if you just come a little bit closer, you can see we've got these little 75mm by 75mm. They're a tile, they're not a brick, they're a tile going around. It's changing. What we're laying in the gardens now is changing to what we used to do. Now, I was concerned about the rain on it yesterday, but they have stuck down, they have gone off. And what we've got in places, there's about 2 or 3 around that semicircle we've got there now, where we're just going to have to trim, because Andy hasn't quite, on a couple of them, got, he's looking at me now, hasn't got exactly 75mm. So we'll have to just trim that to make sure that we got a nice, even, grouted joint all the way around. So if you come on this side here now and have a look, got a bit of dust on here now, we'll get all that cleaned off, that's absolutely fine. So there's our centre there of that paved area. We've got those that are diagonal. So what we're going to do now, Andrew and I are going to lay some slabs dry in here now, okay? And then what we're going to do, we're going to mark the shape of it as accurate as possible, and then we're going to cut those slabs out. So hopefully by the end of the day, we'll have a little bit more content, and hopefully we'll get this cut in as well here today. Try and complete this today. The sun's out, there's a bit of cloud in the sky, and we think it's going to be all right, so let's get on with it. Well, there you are. We've got a lot more trimming to do. There's some little edges where we've overcut. Sometimes we just have to trim those up a little bit to maintain our 7mm joint all the way around, and we may just have to move a couple of tiles. And the reason being was that yesterday it was quite cold. The cement is going off, but it's still a bit soft at the moment, and I'm a little bit concerned about that bit. But if we have to take the black defining contrasting brick edge out after, we'll do it, it's not a problem at all. But as you can see, it's looking pretty good. There's been a fair bit of work being put into it. The client was actually this morning, they can actually see it coming on, but looking at it now, I think it's looking really good. Well, the boys are really, Andrew and Carl are really pleased with it. You pleased with it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And chuffed. If you just look from this angle here and just see what we've done there. Like I said, before we do the grouting, we'll finally go through and we'll just trim up on edges, pack up in places where we need to pack up. But they are a small set. It's almost like tiling indoors, and that's a 75mm by 75mm, only at 20cm. So when we're cleaning off it today, it's so important that we clean off. It looks better, but we're just going to have to adjust that. It's okay with a slab, but certainly, well, with one complete unit, 600 by 600s in this case, but certainly with those little bricks, they do tend to move around a little bit. That's it for the day. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If there's anything else that you want to see, you think I should be adding on the video in detail of how we're doing things, just ask, and I'll try and do a video for you. See you soon. Well, yesterday the boys and myself pointed this patio using easy grout from Aspects, and we haven't given it a wash down yet, but you can see that there's no staining on there. It's looking good. A couple of cuts, we always got to improve all the time, but it's gone off absolutely solid, and it's a rapid set, so as we were doing it, it starts to go off, but
it rained yesterday, and it rained quite a bit. I'm not suggesting that it's okay to do it in real heavy rain, but I spoke to Jeff yesterday from Aspects, and he said light rain is absolutely fine, but it's gone off solid, and there's no drops in it at all. So there you go, easy grout. Well, we've just grated this patio, and it's just starting to rain, and we've used the easy grout from Aspects, and it's worked. It's worked perfectly, and we'll have to come back tomorrow and just check in places. We've gone over with the wash boy. I was trying to get a little bit more video today of it, but it was difficult. The camera's getting soaking wet, and we just wanted to get on with it, but we've done it. There we are.